Tonight we have Miranda Dawson, who is a wife, a mother, a hairdresser, and the communications director for the Tea Party community. That's the name, the Tea Party community, of which Kevin Jackson is unable to be with us tonight, but maybe someday he'll come on up. And Kevin has been very actively involved in outreach, particularly to blacks, which are really conservative if they think about it. And also some other things that we've met, Brenda and I have met with Kevin on 2 separate occasions in January and February. And then they put on that big rally down in Gilbert that I went to anyhow, and had a lot of really great speakers. And so Miranda is going to tell you what is happening. Now, as Miranda comes on up, I'd like to introduce her husband, Dennison Dawson, who is a Tempe police officer. So we thank you for your service. And this is 3-year-old and a week, Layton. Okay, good. So Miranda, come on up and we'll get you going here. And
a week is a funny first name, isn't it? And a week.
Yeah, 3 in a week.
Yeah. You said and a week.
Okay.
Yes, just last week he turned 3. He's our honeymoon baby. So he's
Coronado Island.
San Diego. So thank you, Shirley, for having me and inviting me up here, and thank you all for taking time out of your evening to come and listen to me and hear about what Kevin's trying to do in Arizona. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. So I'm Miranda Dawson, like Shirley said, and I met Kevin 2 years ago just through social media, and I started writing. He mentored me in writing and media for his media brand called the Black Spear. So Kevin's a black conservative. He's lived in Missouri for a while. He's from Texas. He's now local here in Arizona. He's a film producer. He produced a documentary called Bleeding Blue last summer, and it won a Chandler Best Documentary at the Chandler Film Festival down in the Valley. Like I said, he's a political commentator, opinion writer. He's written a few books, so he's an author as well. He's a former Fox News contributor, so you might have seen him. He's worked there for years. He got let go this past August for defending Kavanaugh on Twitter, so that was fun. He speaks on college campuses, so he has an educational organization as well, trying to reach to the younger youth, and especially attack the propaganda that goes on in local colleges, and he does that all over the nation. So he's very, very active and politically involved trying to spread conservative values and the conservative message. How that got into Tea Party is he co-founded a Tea Party community organization in Missouri during the Obama administration when the Tea Party was very active, and they created a strategy and a vision in Missouri. And they had really good luck at really influencing policy, legislation, and getting politicians to pay attention to the people instead of the people always having to run to the politicians for things. So their philosophy is membership, wide membership. They were able to have thousands of people all together, and they built this infrastructure in Missouri. So he tells a story of how politicians would ask Kevin and other leaders in the group to speak before they introduced legislation in their local towns and communities, because they knew that if they didn't have the support of the Tea Party, it would not pass. So it's that same sort of strategy and vision that he's trying to bring into Arizona now, because he's a local here and he really wants to revamp that and help clean up some of the bad policy and legislation that's going on in Arizona. So how that was done is, first of all, membership. So we eventually would like to spread ourselves in all 30 legislative districts in Arizona. membership involves, everybody also contributing into a bucket, if you will, of our own finances. So we would be backed by we the people. We wouldn't take donations from parties and, lobbyists and big organizations that wish to influence, policy or legislation with money. So it was purely funded by the people, large membership, thousands and thousands, all working towards the same goals, spreading the same message, and really moving the needle in some of the issues that we care about. And so not only did they have the membership and the financing to back them, but they also had legal power to work around politicians where they didn't agree. So sometimes they would work around Republicans if they would not keep their word to the people when they made promises to get elected. And then obviously, independents or Democrats or, whoever was going against what they said that they were going to do. So Kevin is hooked up. He is affiliated with several legal teams. He works with the legal team in his educational business, suing different college campuses for their social justice propaganda that they're trying to instill into college students. So I think they currently have a lawsuit against Harvard for hosting an all-black graduation separate from the rest of the students. And they also currently have a lawsuit going on Berkeley for a free speech issue. I'm cloudy on the specifics, but they're currently doing that. And as we speak, Kevin is in Washington, D.C., meeting with several different legal teams, including a legal team called EARLY, which stands for Immigration Reform Law Institute. And that's, if you want to go to their website, it's early.org, IRLI.org. You can also go to seekingeducationalexcellence.org as well and see the work that they're doing in education. So he's currently there right now, and he's presenting evidence, research, and data that I've collected from many individuals like yourselves on voter fraud specific to the November 2018 midterm election, and also misappropriation of funds for illegal immigration on behalf of the taxpayer. So a lot of these legal teams will do work pro bono for the taxpayer. And so we're kind of attorney shopping, if you will, who is willing to take on the case. So we want to start these two big cases right here in Arizona and eventually have these sort of efforts trickle into other states throughout the country, and we believe it will also be a national attention of what the Tea Party is doing in Arizona to better the state and by extension, the nation. So that's currently going on right there, and so those of you that signed my email list, I send out emails weekly on, like, giving summaries on the meetings that Kevin has had while he's meeting with these legal teams. He just met with the Goldwater Institute last week about the same issues. So we're just presenting the information to several teams to see who is willing to take it on and try to do something there. So you can stay connected with me and Kevin, and we can do updates with that. So that's kind of step two. So step one is membership, financial backing, membership, everybody kind of on the same page. The second is legal work, being able to have that suing power on behalf of the taxpayer to work around politicians where we don't agree, getting them in line, having them listen to us rather than us chase them. And then the third would be our projects, our events, and our charities, and real, authentic minority outreach. So Kevin is a Black conservative. Reaching the youth, especially minority youth in those communities, is super important to him. So he currently, right now, has a grant of $25,000 that he got from another organization. I'm cloudy on the specifics of who that was. I can find out if anybody wanted to know. But they've gathered a database of over 200,000 Black families all throughout the country. And they're going to send them conservative messaging through their cell phones and try to effectively reach these families and these neighborhoods before the 2020 election, trying to spread the conservative message. And once that project is structured and figured out, we will do a press release in Arizona, and that will happen on behalf of the Tea Party community, all of us together, reaching out to different communities all over the nation as well, on behalf of conservatism and conservative values. So that's something that is currently he's doing right now too. And I'm not sure if any of you made it or came out, but we just held on April 15th, Tax Day, the Patriotism Over Socialism Rally. So Kevin, the Tea Party community, hosted that event. We had, yes, it was super successful. Shirley was there with her signs. We had Congressman Andy Biggs come out. We had Russell Pierce there, Laura Loomer. I don't think Brandon Tatum came from Turning Point, but we had several different speakers, 9 or 10 different speakers. Several different groups came from all over to set up their booths, and that was kind of our launching, path, if you will, of, hey, this, Kevin, this is who he is, this is what we're wanting to do, bringing all the groups together, staying connected. So that was a huge success, and we're already starting to plan our next Tax Day rally for April 15th of next year, which will be huge going into election time. So we wanted to hold different events like that all the time. As we get bigger and bigger and bigger, do conventions and conferences and things like that. So that's what we're doing on the event side. I covered the projects, the lawsuits, and what's great about this is the money that goes into the organization is viewable by all of you. We all decide how to spend the money and which lawsuits we want to tackle. The reason why we're doing voter fraud and illegal immigration is because when Kevin started holding some of these meetings and getting intel from everybody, those were the two that were most important of you guys that we're most passionate about. So that's why we're tackling those first. But we'd like to tackle any issue that anybody ever, is concerned about, whether it's over taxation, different charity events or causes that anybody's passionate about. Why this is different is, I'll give you an example. There was a gentleman in one of Kevin's meetings who had voter fraud information in his hand, and he said, I can't get anybody to listen to me. I've been to this meeting, I've talked to this politician, I've talked to this legislature, and nobody will pay attention to it. And Kevin said, well, what do you think the response would be if you handed that voter fraud information to any one of those individuals and you had 100,000 people backing you, all screaming the same message, putting that pressure on that politician or on that person that's in charge of policy or legislation? Do you think that they would listen to you then? And he said, yeah, they would. So that's the point in trying to bring everybody together and trying to bring all of these groups together to be in one accord and to be in unison to really try to affect this change and really try to take back the reins of the power of we the people. So that's the vision, that's the strategy, that's what we're trying to do. That's why, I'm talking to different Tea Party groups, like Shirley. Shirley was super excited. She was on board. She was one of the first people I reached out to when Kevin said, we need to do something. We need to do something, and we need to make Arizona the epicenter for what we want to do. And so I just started calling all these different Tea Party groups, and we've been hitting all of them, and they've been super responsive. Everybody's very excited. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. And I can go ahead and take questions if anybody's cloudy on anything, or
How
yes,
many
sir.
different Tea Party groups are in Arizona now? I know they sort of dropped off.
Yeah, there was actually a really long list, and I would say only maybe a handful got back to me. But I've hit other groups as well. I researched any sort of political group, an independent group, Trump groups, Republican groups, Tea Party groups, any sort of group that would give me the time of day and allow Kevin to come and speak to them, talk to them over the phone, email them, so on and so forth. So we have a lot of groups now, as I'm talking to the groups and introducing myself, getting acquainted with different groups and issues that people care about. I'm only 30. I'm new in politics. It was the 2016 election that sort of sparked my interest, as among others. So I'm still sort of, navigating through this. But Kevin thinks that I'm worth the effort, yeah. So Anything else?
Okay, well, this is just a reminder that we have bikes on two sides of the room, so you can't ask a question until you have your hand in the air and the mic in your hand. I'm too close to this one. Oh, that was yours. Yeah, actually, it was Chick's mic. So anyhow, who else?
Do it again.
Okay, so who else has a question?
Right here.
Glenn has a question. Okay, there goes the mic.
I just wanted to say, first of all, I apologize for not signing your paper. But you know, I don't sign papers easy.
That's okay.
And when I hear what you're standing for, I want to sign your paper.
Thank you, I will give you my paper.
Now, another thing is, this card, you're a pretty girl, show your face. Whoever designed this card for you needs a little help.
Thank you. It's an old card, that's my personal business card of makeup and hairdressing, and I've dabbled in some modeling in the past.
Did you ever see a guy walking around town when it's 70 degrees in a hoodie?
No.
Don't do that.
Okay, good advice, thank you. I will change my card ASAP.
Yeah, I know.
Is this Kevin guy pro-Trump or anti-Trump?
He's pro-Trump. Pro-Trump all the way. He's a very big Trump guy.
Thank you.
He's willing to work with whoever will go along with the cause. I mean, he's a conservative, he believes in conservative values, but, you know, we don't always agree with every Republican and what they do. And so he's trying to create, he's put too much in the past, you know, he'll tell you his testimony, too much trust in certain Republican leaders, and they always, you know, let you down. And we're imperfect, it's not like everybody is going to, you know, please everybody all the time, 100% of the time. But what he liked about what they did in Missouri was it wasn't like, oh, we're doomed, who's going to support us, who's going to do this, you know, and so that's why he's such a Trump guy, is because Trump is, you know, battling everybody. Anybody, you know, and so far, he's stood pretty closely to, you know, what he said he was going to do. And so that's why he likes him. And Kevin's he's not politically correct. He's very, like, tell it like it is. Which is probably one of the reasons why he got rid of the box.
And this is Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Hello, how you doing? Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, I know most of these people in here, and I just wanted to confirm, I've seen Kevin Jackson in action, and he's the real deal.
Yeah, he is.
So, I just wanted to convey that.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I've gotten to know him, he means what he says. If he puts his mind to something, he's going to do it. He always finishes his projects. He's a go-getter, and everything he touches is successful. So, yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
Okay, Barbara?
As Kevin approaches blacks and black groups, is his approach different than if he were to, say, go to a liberal group of people? How does he connect with them?
Well, I mean,
Well, he has a good story.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
he has good history.
And he has humor.
Yes.
I would say, from what I've seen of him, because she works with him, my own husband, is that he relates to his audience. So since he's from that background,
Right.
he may talk to you differently than he would that audience. And they just really connect with him because they understand that he's from where they're from. And here he is making decisions on his own and free, off the plantation is what he calls it. You know, so he can relate to them in that way because he's come from that neighborhood. So he's kind of a jack of all trades.
Yeah, so I would say that he definitely is relatable. He's a storyteller,
Yeah.
so he always will answer questions with stories.
Yeah.
So sometimes he doesn't even argue logic necessarily with somebody. Like, we could go back and forth with facts. Like, my research says this, well, my research says that, and we can go back and forth. But he'll tell a story to get his point across, and it kind of hits you, and there's just that connection, because you can just imagine with him that scene or that scenario. And I would say that's probably his most effective way when talking to somebody one-on-one. And I'm a fact person, I'm a research person, and so sometimes he'll tell me, like, you know, sometimes that isn't going to change someone's mind, you know, And so I feel like his humor, he's very funny. He used to do stand-up comedy. I mean, that's just like something he does for a hobby. So he's very funny, humor, and he definitely knows how to tell a story and have you understand it without even using research and facts and, you know, whatever. And I would say that's probably very effective to younger people whose mind maybe can't totally comprehend, you know, data, or like a Charlie Kirk. You know, Charlie Kirk comes up with all this data, and he'll just sit there and be like, I don't need the data. You know, and tell it like it is. Here it is. You know, imagine this with me, imagine that with me. Now what would you do? And they'd be like, you know, and they have no choice but to, okay, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know if you ever have listened to StoryCorps, but the people that tell the best stories are the blacks. They're just a natural storyteller.
They
You know,
are.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Are y'all like a 501c3 or something?
Yes. No, we're not. Is that a nonprofit? We're not a nonprofit. It's an organization. I don't know the tax. I don't know the tax title for Tea Party community specifically, and if that's important to you, I definitely can find out. He has several other organizations, you know, that kind of all interlink together. So the educational one might be a nonprofit. But in terms of TPC, I'm not entirely sure. But like I said, you know, everybody's able to see what's being. So what they did in Missouri is they asked all the members, everybody, to put $5 a month. Just give $5 a month. Because if they're going to start a lawsuit, they may do it pro bono, but it takes money to get it started. Filing the paperwork and doing some of the grunt work in the beginning. You know, doing some of these projects, like we had a couple sponsors that sponsored Patriotism Over Socialism, and then several groups gave donations there, and I think we broke even with the event. And we were able to get all of those speakers there, and everybody volunteered their time. So, you know, if we're going to not put all of our eggs in the basket with the Republican Party or an independent or something, it's nice to be able to have your own financial backing, and all of us make decisions together on what to use that for and what's most important to us, if that answers the question. Okay.
Okay, and here comes Bill.
Got down here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don, and then Bill. Okay, good. Don first.
My next,
You're next, go ahead.
our group is affiliated with NAPAC,
Okay,
Northern Arizona Tea Party Coalition.
okay.
Shirley has all the information for all of the Northern Arizona Tea Party, so you need to get that info from her.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
already got it.
She's got it?
Yeah, we've been working with her since January,
Oh,
or even maybe
Okay.
before the first of
But
the
I'm not,
year.
are they getting emails and stuff?
I don't know, I'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Because I gave you contact information, and so did Francine.
Yeah, and I did reach out to a few people initially when we first started, but I'm not sure if I ever got anything back.
Okay,
So if we need
we'll
to-
work on that some
If we
more.
need to circle around and, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay. Bill?
As anyone who knows me knows, I watch Fox Business all morning, every morning, except Sunday. I have several churches that I watch on Sunday. Anyway, this week they are doing a capitalism versus communism. And it's extremely interesting. And they invite guests, well, they find these people beyond me. They invite capitalists and communists on to have these relay things.
Wow, I haven't
Which
seen
is
that.
interesting, but I mean, some of what you said reminded me somewhat of that. So anyway, thank you.
Well, good. That's awesome. I haven't seen those. I'd love to see those. Are they online, do you know? You can go back and recap
I think it's on Thursday
All right.
this week.
in the morning?
Might be in the afternoon, I'm not sure. I just saw it earlier today.
And speaking of Fox News, this might be kind of short notice.
There are two Fox
Gonna
Fox
be,
News, this is Fox Business.
Okay. I think Fox News is coming down here on the 15th.
Down to Phoenix?
Yeah, down in Phoenix, and they're doing like,
Fox Nation.
Fox
oh,
Nation?
Fox
In
Nation.
Scottsdale.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have
I
a
got
couple
the
hosts
email.
there, and
Yeah.
then people like us can
Oh,
come, and
yeah.
we can talk with them, and
Yep.
they'll do some filming, and
Absolutely.
that sounds,
Really big deal,
yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately can't make it,
On
but
the 15th, that's Wednesday.
tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow is right.
I didn't get an email.
Well, I'm a member of Fox Nation.
Oh, I will have to talk to you about that, how to do that. Okay, Marlene's up.
Yeah,
We-
right.
I apologize for coming in late, but can you repeat what you said about helping the minority groups?
Certainly. So what's currently going on is Kevin Jackson got a grant from an investor. I forget his name, the specifics. But he got a grant and they're collecting a database. And right now they have over 200,000 cell phone numbers of black families and black men, younger youth, in different minority communities. And they're going to be able to have access to their cell phones, sending them messaging through text, because everything's through text and apps and social media. So text messages, delivering empowering messages, conservative value type messaging. So planting different seeds of conservatism, family, values, just trying to spread that message and planting seeds in the youth's mind of certain subjects. I don't know if those messages have been completely constructed yet, of what they're gonna be. And I'm sure once they have that detail, I can send it out to people on the email list so you know what's being said. But that is just an example of a minority outreach effort that he's currently doing, that the Tea Party is a part of, because he co-founded the Tea Party community, like that organization. I know there's several, but the one that he founded. And so he has access to be able to do raw, authentic minority outreach like that. And once that is on its way, because they're constructing it right now, he's going to do a press release in Arizona that on behalf of the Tea Party community, we reach these young men. And, we did it before the 2020 election. What other organization has done that? What other organization is actively trying to engage the youth and engage these people this way? And so that's just something that would be exciting to be able to wrap into an organization that we're doing that as a group, as an organization. He's done things in the past. He's super creative. He's a storyteller, he's a writer, as we were talking about earlier. In the past, he told a story about doing empowerment zones for young black youth. So you would sign a bunch of youth up, and at the end of the session, there would be a concert. Like, I think there was a conservative rapper that he found that would do a concert, fun event for these youth. But to get to it, you get a free ticket, but to get to the fun, to get to the concert, you had to go through these empowerment zones and learn something, about, character and family, or, something to build the character of the boy, of the person, to get to the concert. And so he'll just sit and he'll just think of these creative ways to reach people and make it fun, at the beginning. And what frustrated him is he actually gave that idea to a Republican Party. I forget which Republican Party, but they rejected the idea. They said they didn't want to do it. So he found someone else and did it on his own. So anyways, that's just an example of certain things he's done in the past, things that he's capable
Okay,
of.
so that is just for the purpose of enticing them through their authenticity, not through poor people or anything like that, correct?
Oh, it will reach everybody, anybody.
Well, I mean, you use the word minority, so I'm thinking, how are you going to influence a white guy?
Well, I mean, I think they're the same thing. If you had, it doesn't have to be, if they were to join the
They're not any smarter about it than the black community or the Mexican community or any other community. I mean, why are they not considered part of that?
Oh, I think they are. I'm sorry. I'm not, if I'm miscommunicating to you.
Hold the mic closer.
Oh, sorry. If I'm miscommunicating, I apologize. It would be for whoever wanted to do it, yes. So it wouldn't just be blacks. I thought you asked the question of specific to blacks, so I apologize. It would be for anybody who would want to do that. White, brown, black, it doesn't matter. We all need that sort of empowerment message, and he's open. He speaks to the youth of all ages, all colors.
What is his background?
Kevin's?
Yes.
What do you want to know? He's a 60-year-old man, so he's got, his father was in prison, his mother died when he was young, he was raised by his grandparents. His grandparents worked for a white family, so he was, raised with that, but they were very nice to them and fed them and clothed them and helped them, and so he's had it rough. He didn't have any parents, any parental guidance, he just had his grandparents. So he was kind of a knucklehead when he was older, and he just, he always says that he's never been a Democrat. He's never been, someone that aligned himself politically with anybody, but he, has always had a leader sort of mentality. He may not have always led people the right way, but he was always a leader. He wasn't a follower. So he just naturally developed leadership skills, entrepreneurship skills, and just started to get around that type of people and those types of mentality. And I can give you a bio. I forget which I don't know if it was he's an engineer or, designed computers or did something like that, and he wasn't in politics until the past decade. So he completely switched and did a 180 and just sold that and forgot about that and started aligning himself politically and taking those entrepreneur and leadership skills into politics and policy and things like that. I think it was maybe 2 years prior to the Obama administration where he really was enticed and started going in a different way. But I definitely can give you his website. Go on there, see his videos, his bio, and it can be more specific. I'm just sort of relaying to you what I just know on the top of my head, because he's got a long list of credentials of things that he's done. Does that sort of answer your question?
Sure. What's his website?
So if you want to write it down, it's The Black Sphere, so BLACKSHPHERE.net. And so that's his, so he does, that's how I met him. That's what I originally worked for. I was a contributor there, a writer, and a media person. I haven't written in a while because I've been busy doing this, but that's how I originally started working for him, is writing and doing media for that media outlet. So he has his books there, his bio, who he is, what he's about, his past videos on Fox, his articles daily, and so on and so forth.
Okay, Jeff is next here. Jeff.
Hi there. I'm Jeff.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for your presentation, that's very nice.
Okay.
I'm a little confused in regards to the separation between the Community Tea Party and Kevin Jackson.
Okay.
Is they are one and the same, or are they separate?
Both.
Both.
So
Okay.
he co-founded that.
Yeah.
There's another co-founder, his name's Tim Salady, who lives in Texas, and he is a part co-founder to that. What it was, not only was it a group, but what they did is they also created a website that acted as a social media platform that everybody got on and was able to stay in contact. So like you live in a big state like Arizona, so everybody can join this hub, if you will, and continue to share articles, ideas, strategies, be on the same page of what we're doing. So that's still active, and that's something that he's encouraging everybody to go on and create an account on. So it's just theteapartycommunity.org, O-R-G. And so you can go on there, and so that's the website that he helped build, co-founded. And so there's a website that goes with the group. So does that sort of answer your question?
Well,
Do you have another question?
Yeah, no, it just has to do with the idea, okay, of going ahead and combining the two together to be able to gain representation in a specific way, to be able to further your goal, which is ultimately supposed to be tied to the same kind of principles that the Tea Party was actually founded on.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular group, oftentimes people here will speak about the constitutionality of a specific issue, or perhaps a lawsuit that would be proceeding that has interest in that they are following a specific political issue, okay? In the case of Mr. Jackson, I would like to ask what you think his impression would be if you were to speak to Kamala Harris, and whether or not they would have a kind of like an interesting conversation, or would he be able to swing her over to some conservative representation, because Kamala Harris has come out and said that she'd like to go ahead and enact an executive order banning all guns from citizens in the United States. So in this particular vein, I think we're going to find a lot of people retreating from the idea that you're going to have somebody who's a minority actually going ahead and changing people's opinions after they've been subjected to about 6 or 7 decades of unbridled socialism. So we're facing not only a cultural problem, but a philosophical one at the same time. And unless Mr. Jackson is aware of that, I can't see any reason why I would want to go ahead and contribute any money to his campaign.
Yeah, well, I think he's very aware of that. I think he's very aware of that, definitely. I share your concern as well. I would say that, not only in his books and his writings, I mean, you can go and read his writings and know exactly where he stands. He tries to blast Kamala Harris and leftists alike on a daily basis. You can go back and watch his Fox News videos where he's bad. I mean, they will put him up to Spike Lee, or other socialist blacks who, are trying to convince, a certain group of people to vote a certain way or believe a certain way. I mean, he's very combative with that, very aggressive. I would say that he's definitely one that would be well worth giving your money to. And again, I want to reiterate, it's not necessarily giving your money to Kevin. It's putting it all in a pile and a pot for all of us to use. So he's got the legal power, he's got certain connections that he can loop all of us in with our finances to fund whatever project or lawsuit that we want to do. Does that make sense? We would like to be sort of like the judicial watch, if you will, of Arizona, really trying to make a difference here in combating Republicans, Democrats, and whoever. What was I going to say about his Seeking Educational Excellence organization is doing just that. And I know if you are, just a reminder to reiterate that they're currently suing Harvard for doing an all-black graduation, suing Berkeley for a free speech issue. So he, has certain people on his educational team that is constantly trying to combat this type of brainwashing, if you will, that you just spoke about, that Kamala Harris and, other people like that say.
I appreciate your argument.
Oh.
I do.
Okay.
But the foundation of your argument is based on, again, 60 years of cultural appropriation. So previous to that time, these issues were specifically private issues that could be addressed at any one time on those specific places. Okay? So a person that would want to be segregated from somebody else would have the ability to be able to do that. That changed with the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and the entire population of the United States changed with the 1965 Immigration Act. When that occurred, schism occurred inside the United States and brought us to this particular position now, where we're facing a real possibility that we're going to have people that are going to be really upset with each other. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I think your presentation was very good.
Okay.
But I think your historical reference needs just a little bit more.
Well, go. I mean,
Okay.
do you want to expand on it? I mean, I think we have time. Do you want to continue? I mean, I want to clear whatever.
There are a lot of other people here.
I would like to say
Well,
one.
we can talk after if you like.
Yeah.
I want to clear up any confusion that you may have. No, that's what I'm here for. Whatever your concerns are, I'd be happy to address them.
Yeah. Okay, let me just say too on the black sphere being separate from the Tea Party community. When I get emails from Miranda, she's a communications director for the Tea Party community, and I get updates on things that are going on, things that are being pursued, activities and stuff like that. I also get the Black Sphere blog that comes in my emails. And each time I get it, it has about 5 or 6 different topics that he writes on, or somebody else writes on And it's like a lot of different other blog sites like Restoring Liberty or, many of them that I get. And he will give his opinion on what it is. So those are why those are two separate things. He's involved in both, but they're two separate things. Another thing I wanted to share is when I have been down to meet with Kevin in January and again in February, he apparently has done these vignettes. And we were asking him about a vignette, and he just went into his acting mode, and it was hysterical. The point was made very well. In just a short little, 1 minute or less vignette. So he's got all these things that he puts out to, probably on the Black Sphere website. If you go there, you see different stuff than when you just receive the blog.
So to expand on that, Shirley, you're exactly right. So, if you want to know the details of it, the Black Sphere is sort of like the umbrella. Like that's his brand of Kevin. Like who Kevin is the Black Sphere. And then he has the organizations that he started. And so it's, he has the Tea Party community, he has his education one, he has his film one, the different films that he makes. But they're all intertwined, they all intertwine. So if the Tea Party community, if we do something effective, he will then tell that to his educational crowd or his educational, database. The Tea Party did this, or his, I would tell you guys, hey, the educational side of this branch did this. So I feel like it's just a good toolbox, if you will, of we are the Tea Party community, we are the Tea Party, and we now have a toolbox of all these different tools of things that we can use to further our cause. Does that make sense?
Okay, here's Bill again.
I'm gonna not use this because I'm the speaker right next to me.
Okay, but it's this side of the speakers.
We can't hear you over here.
The rest of it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyway, I was gonna ask you, we had a black gentleman from near here whose name was a black man, who's now in the Arizona legislature, pardon?
Yes, I love it.
And we're very pleased to see a guy who spent some time here, who's in the legislature. Like this young lady, he spent many years over there.
Is he from here?
He's from
Show,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're on the way to Phoenix. Anyway, in your experience with Tea Parties, plural, one problem I have had with some people, I've had, I should say, is the fact that Tea Party is supposed to be nonpartisan. I keep being told, I'm constantly being bombarded, the Tea Party is nonpartisan. And I'm a Republican, have been up for 73 years, and I've been a Tea Party. We don't have membership here. Like you talk about dues, we don't have dues. We have don'ts. Don't come late, don't come on Wednesday, and things like that. But we have attendees and participants, but not members. Anyway, and I've been a participant or whatever for about ever since I started practically. My question has to do with how do you handle the fact that most people who come to Tea Parties are conservative by nature, and most Republicans are conservative by nature. And some people don't understand that we're not partisan, but we're conservative. Now, for example, on the last Monday of the month, I have a Republican meeting right here. And the next night, I have a Tea Party meeting in the same room. And I'm the same guy. But I wear the same hat, I wear the same shirt. Anyway, but I'm wondering how you handle that, because it's the perception.
Yeah.
People think that you can't be a Tea Party attendee or participant and have any feelings toward a person who's a party member. How do you handle that? Thank you.
Well, I would say that, I do agree with you that the Tea Party should be nonpartisan. It's based upon, certain conservative constitutional values, and that should be nonpartisan, For some reason, it's seen as a far-right thing, but it's actually quite moderate, trying to conserve a republic. So I would say, Kevin, I think that the lawsuits would be a good example of when they were a Tea Party in Missouri and they used certain legal power, they not only used it, for Democrats or independents, but even Republicans, who wouldn't align themselves or keep their promises. So he's constantly trying to, go around, different parties, different party lines where we don't agree. We'll align with Republicans where we agree, but then we will make it known to them when we disagree, as they move, more soft progressive or move, towards the left in certain ways that don't line up with our value system. So those are, I would say that's the good tool that he can use, and that can show that we are nonpartisan because, hey, look, we're disagreeing with our Republican, people that we voted for because they're not doing such and such. And so I think that that's a good way or a good image-wise, to say to the public that, hey, we're just not, we're not blind by any one party. We stand for something and we're gonna keep going in this direction no matter which party does. You know what I'm saying?
In the article I gave to you, which I also read to you, the last line or two talked about how you're supporting Trump for re-election. Now, Trump is not nonpartisan, and you're representing the Tea Party. So I'm confused about how you can be nonpartisan for the Tea Party and yet say you're going to support Trump. I'm confused. Help me with that.
Well, I think that some Tea Party people, if they didn't want to support Trump, they have the freedom to do that. Kevin is a Trump supporter, and he makes that very well known. And I would say that Trump, if we're going to choose, Trump is the best choice between what he's standing for and what he's doing versus what the others are doing. And so I mean, people can label it as partisan, but I always just say I vote values. I'm not voting for him because he's a Republican. I'm voting for him based upon the platform that he's running for and the values that I have as an individual. And individually, that lines up with me. So I guess it could be a messaging error, something that we need to work on messaging-wise, because we're not trying to support him due to partisan issues. We're trying to support him due to platform and values. That's how I understand it and would communicate that. Yeah.
Barb, before you go again, let's have Brian. He hasn't had a question yet. Here's Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I just wanted to say, to address your concern, I think anybody that would listen and have a receptive ear would be the one to pitch. I know it's pointless to talk to some people, but concerned people do have a voice, and I don't live in Arizona, but I can tell you that in Oregon, there's a very small Republican voice, and they were able to be loud enough to change a nasty gun law that the Democrats were pushing. So anybody that will listen should hear the message. And, if it happens to be a Republican that takes up your banner, there you go. Because in California, it's pointless to talking to Dianne Feinstein, but, you can still call. You don't have a choice.
And Kevin's worked with a lot of different individuals, and there's people that he's talked to that may not agree with him, on all these other issues. But if they can align on one issue, they can at least work together and move the needle on that issue that's going to make a change and better a community or better a state. So again, it could be just a messaging thing, And he tells a story. A lot of people say, well, maybe you should rebrand the Tea Party. Maybe you should call it something different, appeal to different people and things like that. His answer is always, well, we could consider that, and if the majority of the group wanted to do that, then we can consider it. But his thing is the Tea Party did nothing wrong in his eyes. They stood for certain things, and they wanted to conserve certain things, and so they created a movement to do that. And so we did nothing wrong. So why should we have to change our name to fit you or to not offend you when we did nothing wrong? It's just labels or a bad messaging error on the other side that tried to label or communicate what we were about to other people to turn them off. So he's pretty firm in the Tea Party. He believes in what it stands for and what they did in Missouri. You know, and he wants to bring that here now, so he's, you know.
Okay, we have Barb and then we have Dawn here.
We had a,
Push the button again.
Green means go.
we had a lady here last week that was trying to explain to us how to communicate with millennials.
Larissa.
Right. And I'm thinking with Kevin, you know, we can spew all kinds of facts out. We can talk about King George III and the proclamation of 1776, and you know, someone else, they're just gonna put up a wall.
Yeah.
You know, they've completely toned you out. So if he can help us to be able to communicate our values in a way that we can get people to actually relate to,
Absolutely.
that would be tremendous.
Absolutely, and I think he's perfect at that.
And here we have Dawn.
One of the things I wanted to mention was a statement that a few minutes ago that there's some people you're not going to convince, like Dianne Feinstein, for example. I have to tell you, I spend 6 to 8 hours a day on the internet dealing with these liberal yo-yos, for pardon the expression, and I'm not doing it to change their minds. I'm doing it to inform the other 100,000 people that are watching the exchange.
Yes.
And that's what's important.
And I do the same thing. I will engage in debates, you know, with whether it's family or friends or people I don't know on Facebook or Twitter. And I can't tell you how many private messages I get privately of, hey, I saw this exchange and I just want to say I agree. Or, hey, you made me think about such and such. So sometimes it's not always about, like you said, reaching that individual that you're engaging with, but you never know who's watching around you. And I completely agree, yes.
Okay, Glenn is here.
What Don said makes a lot of sense. It's like saying we're not gonna name the Marine Corps Marines anymore because they killed a lot of people in Vietnam.
Yeah,
And these people say, well, don't call it a baby, it's a fetus.
yeah,
It's okay if you abort a fetus.
right,
You know, hit them head on. This is a Tea Party,
Yeah.
here's what our values are,
Yeah.
and we don't care if you don't like it, that's
Yeah.
the way it is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yay. All right, anybody else has want to say last word here? Okay.
What happened to Chick? He was ahead of me.
No, he didn't have his hand up.
Oh, I thought he did, okay. Anyway, in response to what Don said, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
That's true.
Very well.
Okay, anybody else? Chip, did you have your hand raised?
Was that a question?
No, it's a statement, it's a good one. All righty. Okay, well, listen. You have something to say? No?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yes, he does.
Question.
Hold it up.
I was late getting here.
Okay.
Hold up the mic.
What do you think about the Consumer Protection Agency being cut in half? Arbitration forced on everybody? Does the Tea Party worry about that kind of stuff for consumers?
Yeah. Hold the mic up to your mouth.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't
About
quite,
consumers?
I didn't quite understand your question, I'm sorry.
Hold it
Can you
up.
Repeat it?
Hold the mic.
You are loud
I'm
now.
sorry.
Yeah, hold it up close.
Some of the things that I've been bothered by the present administration is that, to me, they're the enemy of the consumer. The Consumer Protection Agency has been cut. They've reduced the protection for whistleblowers, that type of stuff. Do you have a...
I'm actually not familiar, I mean, if you want to expand on it, but I'm not familiar with the terminology that you're using at the moment. Consumers, like farmers, or the tariff battle that's going on?
During the bad Obama administration, so-called, they instituted a lot of protections for whistleblowers.
Okay,
Okay. Now, a whistleblower is a person in a company that brings to the press or to the law
right,
the idea that these guys are doing crooked things.
right,
What's the Tea Party stance on that, or don't they have any?
Well, I mean, I would have to ask Kevin what he thinks. I would have to ask him that question, and I can definitely email you a response. I mean, me, myself, I mean, I think whistleblowers should be protected. Are you saying that, like, journalists, like the Trump administration is kind of being hostile to whistleblowers?
Definitely. The administration removed all of those protections.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
All right, we have two questions over here. Okay, Glenn?
Do you want to, but I would be happy to learn about it. If you want to, I'll give you my email address and send me over.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
There was too many times this crooked news came on with, we have an anonymous whistleblower. And they uncovered some of that, which was necessary.
Yeah.
And we're finding that out by our new Attorney General, who's going to get to the bottom of these whistleblowers that never existed.
Okay. Well, and I mean, to your point, I don't agree with everything that the current administration, I mean, my biggest complaint is immigration. I don't think that that's being handled correctly. Yeah, wall or no wall, I mean, you know, different, my opinion from what I've learned is if you cut off the benefits and the jobs, they will not come. So if you had a wall there or no wall there, they will not come if they can't get jobs or benefits. So cutting off the jobs and cutting off the benefits and hitting it at the root would be the common sense thing that I would think, and that law, you know, Congress changing no laws. I do agree that the laws need to be changed, but that's just, you know, I'm not, you know, rah, Trump. I mean, obviously I'm a Trump supporter and I voted for him and I will vote for him again, but we can make our voice known to Trump when we disagree. I think Kevin is completely on board with that, no matter who the politician is, no matter who the man is. You know, so to your point, if there are certain issues and things that you see that they're doing, it's great to stay connected to groups like this, to share the information. That way we can all learn about it, be on the same page about it, have the debates, have the talks, and try to hold our politicians accountable. I mean, I think that's the whole point of, you know, doing what we're doing. So we're open to tackling any issues that anybody has that they'd like to change.
So we have Don, and then we have Marlene.
Have you heard about Agenda 21, Agenda 30 yet?
Agenda 21, I've heard of it. I've
30.
heard of it. Not 30, but I've heard of the 21.
Okay, that's being financed by the UN.
Yeah.
That's part of this gentleman's question over here.
Uh-huh.
That they're trying to do away with a lot of agencies that help consumers and stuff. That's all part of Agenda 21. You do some legal research on it.
Okay.
Ask Kevin about it, he'll probably tell you.
Yeah, Kevin probably is aware.
And here is,
I turned it off.
no, I turned it back on.
Oh,
Agenda 21 is the steps of one world government. That's what that's about. But what I was going to say here is the first time Shirley went down to the meeting with you guys,
In Phoenix.
Glendale somewhere, Phoenix, she told me about it the next day and I was happy about it. And, but this is my big concern. You're saying the right things for me, but I don't like to just waste my time listening to people talk every week with another speaker and then every week we do nothing about it.
Yes.
So that's why I'm encouraged with what you're saying, because he has a plan and action to do these things, including the lawsuits that are necessary. I already know about the lawsuit in Berkeley, not Berkeley, the other one.
Harvard.
Yeah. And is this group doing that?
Yes, in conjunction with another, but we are part of it.
Okay, because I didn't know about this group, I knew about the other.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just want to tell you that I'm encouraging your work and give us something to do
Yes.
so that we can solve these problems.
Yes.
Not just talk about them, solve them.
Well, and to that point, there are plenty of ways that everybody can help and be involved. So me personally, I have been talking to different individuals who express interest other than just coming to meetings or donating, that want to take an active role. So if you have strengths in membership, and outreach and going to different places and speaking and sharing when we can, and spreading the word and getting people to sign up for the email list and sign up on the .org site, then we can use you. If you have experience in media or write, like if you're a writer, if you can write, well, we want to eventually start writing articles on the things that we're doing, press releases, things of that nature. So I'm collecting names of people who want to do things like that. If your area of expertise is making phone calls or emails, things like that, I'm taking note of people who want to do things like that. When we do events and charities, if you're an organizer, if you're good at organizing people together, like Pam Goodmanson, I don't know if any of you have heard of her, she was the main organizer for the Patriotism Over Socialism rally that we had down in the valley. So we're pulling, this is all a collective, effort. It's not, it's all of us doing what we can do together. So if all you want to do is just read up on the emails, spread the word, donate, post on the website, things like that, then that's great. But if you want to take an active role, come see me, because we have different committees, different jobs that we will need people to do to make this thing efficient and running correctly. So to your point, that's how this thing operates,
Also, our Tea Party is pretty good at donations because they kind of put their money where their heart is.
Yeah.
And I like to encourage that, so.
Yes, and that's what, I really want to prove is, especially with these lawsuits, I'm super excited about it. I can't wait until we find somebody that's going to take, even if it's just a little, something to just start moving the needle in something. I'm super excited about it, and I think that it's really going to show that we are serious, we mean what we say, and Kevin is, like I said, he's in Washington, D.C. right now, flying. I think he leaves, he's already, in the air, going to land soon, and try to get someone to take on these
Let me
efforts.
correct this real quick. I wasn't meaning that this group didn't do anything, because certainly they.
Oh, I understand.
They do a lot of our local
Yes.
stuff, but I'm more prone to interest in national, and we don't do a lot of that. So
Yeah.
this is filling the void.
Okay, good, I'm glad, thank you.
Okay, so, Miranda.
Yeah.
I've been trying since January to get signed up on the website, and it seems to want you to have a PayPal account, otherwise you can't make a donation. So, how many of you people in here have a PayPal account? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we might want to get a PayPal account then of our individual, so whenever you want to sign up to go do something to an event, lots of times they ask you if you have a PayPal account, and then it automatically quick fills everything, and you can just really easily sign up for an event. So, like she said, in order to join the Tea Party community, you go to
The teapartycommunity.org.
Tea Party.
O-R-G. It's.
And you use the word the Tea Party Community, all run together,
Yes, .org.
.org.
And you just create an account. It's kind of similar to Facebook. It's not as technologically advanced and fancy as Facebook. There's software updates and stuff like that, but once we kind of revamp it and get it going again, everybody's on there, we're talking, it's, people are using it, we can then, finance it again to, update the software. There does seem to be certain browsers that it's more friendly to. Some people have login issues or things like that. Sometimes people have different browsers on their computer, like Safari or Firefox or whatever. If you try it on, one or the other, it may like one versus the other. We eventually would love to do an app, so people can have it on their phones on down the line. But that's where you go to sign up for an account, to get active, and if this group wanted to get on there and sign up, and then each person find each other, that way you know each other on there. And so you can be active that way. You know, you can find Kevin on there. He'll talk to you, you know, myself included. So that's just a fun tool that was used to really try to mobilize and keep everybody organized together. You know, you can make your donation too on that site if you wish, or there's a separate link that I always include in my email updates if you wanted to go there and do it that way. If you didn't have a PayPal, the Black Sphere does have a P.O. box. I'm sure you could just send a check or cash, you know, if that's the way you wanted to do it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, so, but what you are asking for the people of Arizona to do is if everybody would just do a $5 a month, excuse me, a $5 a month donation, that helps to defray the filing costs for these lawsuits and stuff like that.
Yes, and pay for future events and things like
Yeah, so anyhow, and then you can make a flat donation also, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and if you can't, I mean, you know, you just want to do a couple bucks, that's fine. If you can't do anything at all, that's fine too. I think we'll eventually have some people that would like to sponsor people, like maybe if we get younger people involved, which we do, and they can't afford that, you know, we'll have maybe people like myself or Kevin that will sponsor them on behalf of, you know, the Tea Party, so they can be involved. And it's not like you can't be involved if you don't donate. It's just something that, you know, Kevin wants to push, just to have the upfront money for the certain initiatives that we're currently working on, if that makes sense.
okay. Then let me just say, thank you very much for coming. You did a really good job. She did her inaugural speech at the Glendale Grassroots Tea Party, and she was telling Francine, who runs that group, that she was very, very nervous, but I thought she sounded really confident this evening, so very good.
Thank you very much.
All righty, so